Welcome to lesson 2 of this YouTube channel. In this lesson we are going to be talking about triads. We're going to introduce you to triads, how to build them, and then we're also going to be talking about how the Nashville numbering system that we talked about in lesson 1 applies to triads. In the introduction to this lesson, we're going to be talking about building triads. So we'll start where we ended with the Nashville numbering system. We'll start in the key of C. That note is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to 1. So the way you build a triad in the key of C, there are 3 important triads that you need to know. The triad that's built on the 1, the triad that's built on the 4, and the triad that's built on the 5. Okay? I want you to think of it like this. The triad is on the 1, the 3, and the 5. If you think you have 5 fingers and you place them over the first 5 notes, so thumb, middle finger, baby finger. Then what about the triad on the 4? Again, put your 5 fingers there like that. Thumb, middle finger, baby finger. That's on the scale. Then let's move it over onto the scale. So again, there's a triad based off of the 1. It looks like that. Based off of the 4. Looks like that. Based off of the 5. Looks like that. So what are these 3 triads called? The triad based on the 1, on the 4, and on the 5. Those are called major triads. Every key has 3 major triads, 3 minor triads, and 1 diminished chord. Now that I've said diminished chord, take that and just erase it from your brain. Let's go back to the major chords and the minor chords. 3 major chords are on the 1, the 4, and the 5. The 3 minor chords are on the 6, the 2, and the 3. The 6, the 2, and the 3. There's a reason why I'm saying 6, 2, and 3, not 2, 3, and 6. And I will explain it in just a second. 6 is like that. Same thing with minor chords as major chords. Put your hand over the 5 notes in the scale, starting from the 6, and then just use your thumb, your middle finger, and your baby finger, and build it like that. A lot of people get tempted to play the top note with their last 2 fingers. I don't like my students to do that because it ties up a valuable resource. If you want to play fast, if you want to spread, play wider chords or more sophisticated chords, tying up your 4th finger with your 5th finger creates problems, and you'll see that later on. So resist the temptation to play the last 2 notes with these 2 fingers. Work the muscle on your baby finger and it will work well. So that's the 6. Let's go down to the 2. Put it on the 5 notes in the scale. You remember the scale of C is this. So that's on the 2 and then on the 3. So the 6, the 2, and the 3 are minor chords. The 1, the 4, and the 5 are major chords. Write it down on a piece of paper, write it down somewhere, remember it. We will come back to it a lot as we're working through this stuff, but I needed to give you this introduction. Every key has 3 major chords and 3 minor chords, and those are the most important chords in every key that you'll be playing. So on the 1, the 4, and the 5, then the 6, the 2, and the 3. Now, at some point I will talk to you about minor scales, but the reason why I call 6 as the first minor and then 2 and the 3 is because the scale of A minor is the same as the scale of C major. The scales that I taught you in the previous lesson are major key scales. That is a major key scale. Minor key scale is... Now there are two kinds of minors for those of you that are music geeks and will write to me and say, you got it wrong and whatever. Yes, I know that there's a minor melodic scale and a minor harmonic scale. But for the purposes of improvisational music, we do not think of them in the same way that you do in classical music. We just appropriate the notes. Those notes with no black notes are the same as, and the same thing goes for all the other keys. So let's talk about the key of G. Do you remember G from lesson 1? Have you practiced the scale? The scale is, so 1 is G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 is C, 5 is D, 6 is E minor, 2 is A minor, and B is the number 3. B minor is 3, is on the 3. So let's do the major chords first. G. Remember, we are in the key of G, so we're using the scale of G. Okay? That's the triad based off of the 1 in G. The 4 is C. So use the scale of D, of G rather. Thumb, middle finger, baby finger. What about on the 5? So 1, 4, 5. And that's how you build triads. Then on the 6 is right there, E minor. Like I said, put your fingers on the 5 notes in the scale starting from the 6. Use your thumb, middle finger, and baby finger. Then A minor. Then B minor. And there you have it. So, try and do this work. Figure out the 1, the chord, the key that you're starting on, so in the key of C. There you are. Those are your notes. The 1 is there, the 4 is there, the 5 is there. 6, 2, and 3. In the key of G, the 1 is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Back to 1. So the 1 is there, 4 is there, 5 is there, 6, 2, and 3. So the chord on the 1 is G. The chord on the 4 is C. The chord on the 5 is D. The chord on the 6 is E minor. The chord on the 2 is A minor. And the chord on the 3 is B minor. Let's do it in one more key. D. We talked about D. D is a popular chord in is a popular key in worship music. That's the scale of D. If you've happened on this lesson and you don't understand scales, go to lesson 1 and review how to build scales. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 4, and that's the 5. The 1 is D. Let's put our hands on the 5 notes. First 5 notes. Let's go to the 4. Play the 5 notes from the 4 in the scale of D. Then A. Now the 6 is B minor. We've already looked at B minor while we were looking at the key of G. E minor, we've already looked at E minor when we're in the key of C and in the key of G. It's up there and it's down here. Did you notice? Because that note is E, that note is E, that note is G, that note is G, that note is B, that note is B. So you can just do that. And then the final chord in the key of C, right, in the key of D, the 3. So you see 1, 2, 3 is there. That's 6, 2, and 3. That note right there is what we call F sharp. That's F, a semitone above it. The black note is F sharp. We talked about that in the previous lesson. So what is F sharp minor? Let's see. That's what it looks like. So those are the 6 chords that are most important in D. D on the 1, G on the 4, A on the 5, B minor on the 6, E minor on the 2, F sharp minor on the 3. So I know this has been a high-speed lesson introducing you to triads, but the reason that video works so well is that you can just go back and look at exactly what we talked about and figure it out and keep rewinding and working it out. So we'll see you in lesson number 3, where we take the concept of triads a little bit further.